Believe it or not, if Vladimir Putin today were in the Oval Office and Trump and Vance treated him the way they treated Zelensky, I would be upset. And I'm thinking, what can I add here that others haven't talked about? I think what I want to talk about is what we saw as a portal into a truth that Americans don't want to recognize. Trump looked like the bully, and Vance were both bullying Zelensky, and that's true. But it's a fact that all bullies really behind them is not any strength, and that's why they're sort of bullies. Is they have no strength. Their only strength is group behavior, is the ability to get other people to follow them, and that as a group they can, pressure. They can get things out of other people. I mean, they're not organized at all. They're just bullies. Calling Trump like a mafia godfather is really disrespectful to mafias, because there's no real goal or policy that Trump has. I don't know why he's thinking the way he is, or thinking's the wrong word. But anyway, I want to get back to what this shows us about America. The root problem is that America, the wealth inequality keeps widening, and nobody is doing anything about it, or nothing about it is being done. So you had 2019, 2018, 2017 were really like China's productivity started to decrease around 2015, which meant that goods were sort of getting more expensive. So we really should have headed into a global recession then. But what happens, we had the pandemic, sort of like a forced recession. But in the pandemic, essentially, all the people that had jobs that they could work for at home or whatever, desks, they kept saving money. They weren't spending any money because they couldn't go out. And everybody that worked a job outside, a supermarket or delivery, whatever, or resort, they all saw their wealth wiped out. So what should have happened, in my opinion, during the pandemic is that all government workers should have had their pay cut, and then tax rebates given to the people, working in these other positions. But that didn't happen. So, we've gotten over the pandemic. We have this, super wealth and inequality. And so when Trump is firing all these federal workers, or Musk or whatever, it's not about, saving money. I mean, that's how it's solved. It's really just about beating up on people, so that the MAGA types can look at this and say, yeah. I mean, we've saw our money, decrease. And again, they're not really articulate about it. They're not thinking about it deeply the way I'm explaining it. But what's happening to them is true. They are, losing money. They are losing relative to other people that they know, and they're mad. And so to see Trump and Musk take it out on other people, like federal workers, it just makes them happy. And then, of course, you have videos of some of them that are federal workers saying, we didn't vote for him for this, we have some regret. But really, don't look at them because they're minor. It's still you still have a very major amount of the American public mad and bitter because they're getting poorer. And, of course, the Democrats do nothing to help them, just angers them more. And so Trump, he's at least saying, hey, listen, I may be a jerk, but my way of life, you do a good thing for me, I'll do a good thing for you. It's, it's very transactional, and it's something like many people can latch on to. So what happened in that, what you want to call it, so when Trump and Vance are attacking Zelensky, he's basically like a very lowbrow American, but he does represent tons of them. And his attitude is like, hey, we're helping you with the war. And, what do we get out of it? Just give us some mineral rights. And by the way, you should be respectful for all we're doing for you. Now, again, many Americans are like, yeah. I mean, even though he's being impolite and they normally wouldn't countenance it, they're more focused on their bitterness about where they are. So they just ignored that. Even though I think in most situations, I think everybody would agree that you don't invite somebody into your house and treat them that way. I don't care who they are. But anyway, because they're so bitter and Trump is doing that, they're like, yeah, American is great. I'm important. I'm with Trump because America is great. And, we're helping people and we get nothing out of it and we're taking advantage, because they're taking advantage and they are taking advantage. And so, yeah, he should show some respect and stuff like that. So that's what's going on. And I try and tell that to myself not to get mad at watching it, because it really has nothing to do with Zelensky and Ukraine and Russia or anything like this. This is pure domestic politics. Now, of course, I am very upset because I follow geopolitics quite a bit, and this has huge ramifications for the future. And I'm not going to go into all that because other people have gone into all that. I just want to say in this video that this is not a problem that's going to go away tomorrow. I don't see it going away until we're in a real war where things have, where the value of things is more understandable. So Trump is blowing off his mouth. He's like, okay, I'm blowing off my mouth. I'm going to be a big man, this and that. To a guy that in a country they're losing like a few hundred, people a day. Like during that conference, probably 10 Ukrainians were killed and 10 Russians, So this isn't a joke, right? Americans aren't getting killed. Like these other people are getting killed. And Americans are looking at it on a different set of entitlement. So Americans feel I'm entitled to a better standard of living, right? And Zelensky and the Ukrainians are like, well, I'm entitled to live. It's completely different set of values. That's the wrong word for it, but you know what I'm saying. So it's totally out of disconnect. The United States is so full of entitlement, right? That I deserve this everywhere. Democrats, Republicans, everything. Everybody deserves what they have. And they are completely blind. So they're so bitter about that, so emotional about that, they won't even recognize that compared to something like Ukraine, we're just a bunch of babies. All of us, most of us, right? So Trump's a baby representing babies. And I don't feel like I'm a baby with him, but I live here, right? I enjoy the value of the dollar. So, yeah, just a very, very depressing and sad day for me. I don't think I've ever been more embarrassed as an American. And, there have been other things, like the Iraq War and stuff like that. The shock and awe was, I guess, my second most embarrassing moment. But at least, shock and awe, that was like the whole, there's a lot to it. Like a lot of people agreed with it for better or for worse. But this is one man who's supposed to represent all of us. The president is supposed to actually just mediate policy with the Senate and Congress and the American people. He's not supposed to set it. It's not for him to go into that meeting and tell what he thinks and make policy there. That's not his job. And we've gotten so far away from that. And again, because we don't care about policy anymore. Everybody's just in it for themselves. So what am I at now? How many minutes have I been talking? 8 minutes. Seems like forever. Anyway, if you watch this, thanks for watching. And if you have a comment, I'd love to hear it. Read it.